Sage is an excellent tool for recording any relevant interactions that we have with the people we encounter. In Sage, we can record communications against people, and if needed, we can also link these communication records against a transaction, such as a customer service issue or an opportunity. This video will help you understand communications within Sage and will cover viewing, entering, and updating communications, sending emails from Sage and then getting emails back into Sage, automatically generated communications, as well as how we can report back and measure communications. Let's take a look at the communication folder underneath Person Sam Smith. This list that displays shows all of the entries that were created between my coworkers and I and Sam. The list shows us summary information such as who created the communication record and when, subject matter, and the type of communication. If we scroll down, you can see this one created by my coworker Shankari. When she created this communication record, she also linked it to a case. If we scroll up, we can use the filters, and I can filter for only pending activities. We can also flip over to a calendar view. Let's go back to list. Pending activities, or activities that haven't been completed yet, will show up here, but they're also going to show up on the calendar of the individual. This calendar view shows me all pending activities by default. I can look at it by day, week, month. Furthermore, if I have rights to, I can flip over and see the calendar of one of my coworkers. For the most part, communication records get into Sage CRM by being manually inputted by users. When I create a communication record, it will show me the person that I created this under, as well as the company that they're associated to. Furthermore, I could link it to something else, perhaps a customer service issue or an opportunity. There's several fields that we can use, and we can also create more fields to properly profile the communication record. What type of action was this? I can enter subject and details, and I can schedule this for a particular time. I can select what user it applies to. I can perhaps tick this off as a priority item, and I can schedule an on-screen reminder or perhaps a reminder email message. When we look at a calendar in either week or day format, we see appointments on the left and tasks on the right. But what exactly does that mean? Well, let's go through it. We can create tasks and appointments. A task it's like a point in time. It doesn't have a duration. Call this person, do this task. It doesn't have really a defined start and end time. It just shows up in our calendar. Tasks are associated to one person, and they don't really show us if we have anything else in our calendar because it's not a defined time. Whereas if we were to create an appointment, appointments can also be profiled just like a task, but they have a defined start and end. By default, it thinks it's for a half an hour. And I can make this for much longer. And if you scroll down, you can see my availability. It looks fine. If I was already booked for something at this time, it would show the conflict. Furthermore, I can invite coworkers, and I can see their availability. On save, this new appointment will show up in the left-hand side. But again, it will also show up on my calendar, and because I scheduled it for Tina as well, it will also show up on Tina's calendar. Communications have a status associated to them, typically pending or completed. If I go into a communication record, it's right here, pending. And we can flip this to complete. In applications, for example, like Outlook, we don't have the status of an activity. Furthermore, we don't have the ability to file it against a person or a company. So once I've stamped this as completed, I can rest assured that forever and always, this communication record will live in the communications folder of, in this case, Sam Smith. Aside from appointments and tasks, you also see email, and definitely I can hit on this and it will bring up an email to that person. Let's press cancel. But in practice, I rarely make it that far because wherever I see an email address inside of Sage, I can just click on it and the email screen will pop up. So absolutely, I can send emails from Sage and I can pick off perhaps a template. I can grab a template and I can send this out, and Sage will not only send it out, but it will record the communication in the communication folder of that person. Sage is not a replacement for Outlook. The two systems are designed to work in tandem, or Sage CRM and whatever email client you happen to use. There are certain situations where Sage is very practical for sending out emails. And I just gave you one example. And the example was if I'm sending out pre-formatted templates. Here's your credit app. Here's the information you requested, that type of thing. So I can create and pick off templates and send them out, and it's very efficient to do this. Remember, whenever I send something from Sage, it's capturing a communication record in the communication folder. It's also practical for me to email groups of people. Perhaps I need a price list sent out to a group of people. So I can create a group, and I can go into my group, and I can say, send an email to all those Brians. And furthermore, I could pick off that template. I'd also say that if you intend on doing a lot of mass mailing, you should investigate and take advantage of the free MailChimp integration with Sage CRM. As far as getting emails from your inbox into Sage CRM, Sage does not automatically pull in all emails. That would be a lot of emails. Rather, the user must make a conscious decision as to what emails should be placed into Sage CRM. So if I use the Microsoft Outlook integration, then I can highlight an email and I can go CRM file that email. If Sage CRM recognizes the email address, it will pop up and say, hey, do you want to file it against this person at that company? And I can, but I could also overwrite this and file it against somebody else, perhaps Sam Smith. File. Now, if I were to return to the communication folder for Sam, I'd see this communication record here. It shows me the time that it was received into Outlook. CRM is effectively taking a copy of this email and putting it into Sage CRM. When emails are in Sage, be aware that I could also forward them or reply to them. Another way of getting emails into Sage is by configuring this email management server option. When this part of Sage is configured, the system can automatically pull in emails submitted to a particular email address. Once inside Sage, it can trigger any sequence of events you like. While most communication records are manually created by the user, there's some situations where the communication record could be automatically generated. One example is when I load a document. I go into the Documents folder and I go to Add a File. It might automatically create a communication record that a letter went out. Automatic communications are also created sometimes in the context of a workflow. So Sage's workflow engine is used to tightly control the flow of information through a department. So I'm behind the scenes as the administrator now, but if I looked at one of the rules within a workflow, it can contain sub-actions. Some of the sub-actions might include the creation of a task or the issuing of an email. And if I go over to the Escalation Manager, we can set up this section of the system to automatically create a communication if defined conditions are met. So we can see communication records underneath the person or the person's company. Furthermore, we can create communications in reference to specific activities like opportunities or customer service issues. Outstanding activities will show up on my calendar, and if I have rights to, I can go and see other people's calendar. But there's other ways to find information. So one easy way to do this is to just go find communication. And I can use any fields on this screen to filter for communication. So for example, show me all of the demos that were completed last month, that type of thing. Or you can go into reports. And we can go into reports and configure any type of activity or communication related report. Some organizations pay very strict attention to this. We record specific communications and then we can measure and perhaps come up with jazzy little dashboard charts like this one that show trends in communications. While Sage CRM certainly has a lot of features related to communications, each company uses these features in their own unique way.